to our December Book Fairies First Look interview. I am Becky Shillington, your Carolina's co-assistant regional advisor, and this month our special guest is Ashley Belote, our region's illustrator coordinator. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Becky.
You're welcome, Ashley. I'm so excited to have you here today, and I can't wait to hear more about your wonderful new book. And to get us started, oh, you're welcome. To get us started, I wanted to read a little bit about you and about your book straight from the new book. So here we go. Ashley Belote is the illustrator of FRANKENSLIME and the author-illustrator of Listen Up, Luella, set to release in June of 2022. She studied traditional animation under the direction of Don Bluth. Ashley earned her BA from Alderson Broaddus University and her Master's in Arts in Administration from the University of Kentucky. Her graduate study included a children's literature and illustration course through Simmons College. Ashley lives and works in North Carolina, where she creates artwork that she hopes brings lots of laughs to others. And I know for a fact that it does. So, okay, now about your new book, VALENSLIME FRANKENSLIME is the first book. Victoria Frankenstein scientist loved her slime, and her slime loved her back. Ever since the dark and stormy night when Victoria Franken brought her slime to life, she and Goop have been great friends. But when Valentine's Day rolls around, Victoria comes to the horrifying realization that while she had many friends, Goop only had her. The only solution is for her to make him a new friend. But when Victoria gets bored waiting for lightning to strike twice, things get a bit out of control. And I have not gotten my hands on this book yet, which is why FRANKENSLIME is still so strong in my head, and I cannot wait to read VALENSLIME. So this sounds so adorable. Congratulations. And I'm so excited to see it.
Thank you, Becky. It was so neat to get to draw these characters again. So I was super jazzed from the first day I found out about it. So I'm really excited to share it with everybody finally.
I know it's going to be wonderful. And your release date was, what was the exact release date for this?
It was last week. It came out last Tuesday on December 7th. Okay. It was just pushed back a month because of all the shipping things. So we're happy that it was finally able to come out, and it's here in plenty of time for Valentine's Day, which was the goal. So we're happy about that.
Yes. I think it's wonderful that you had one book come out in July and the next one come out in December. And so now people can kind of get those together and they can do a 2-for deal for Christmas.
Absolutely. It makes a great Christmas package for sure.
It really does, because these don't even have to be tied to a holiday. I love them. Okay, so this is an exciting project because it's a sequel to the first picture book you illustrated for Joy Kellar, FRANKENSLIME, which was released from Feiwel and Friends in July. So can you tell us a little bit about how this came about?
Yes. So as you mentioned, FRANKENSLIME was the first book, and we were wrapping up the artwork for that. And we found out that we were going to get the opportunity to create a sequel for FRANKENSLIME, VALENSLIME. So Joy was super excited. I was super excited. These characters are so much fun to draw, and they've got such a nice friendship. And that really is a lot of the underlying story in VALENSLIME. It is a story of friendship. So it was really neat to get to continue working with these characters, because whenever you draw characters in a book, they kind of become like your friends. So, I wanted to hang out with them again. So I was really excited that I was given that opportunity to create a second book that has such a sweet message for this holiday.
Oh, good. Yeah, and I know how much detail you put into each page. So I bet this was really fun for you to revisit all of those characters and types of slime and
yes,
the little details that you put in.
Yes, and it was really neat because with Valentine's Day, the first thing that you think of are Valentines that you give to friends, to family. So I knew that I could pack this thing full of little teeny tiny notes and little Valentines, and I definitely did. It was so much fun.
Oh, I bet it's adorable. That's so exciting. So what were some of the joys and challenges of illustrating a sequel?
So I think you have a level of expectation that you have to live up to, especially once you have one book featuring a set of characters like FRANKENSLIME. So I knew that I had to do a good job and live up to that expectation to create another fun book that you could go back and look through and hopefully see some things that you missed the first time. And with the nature of the artwork, I was able to, like I said, insert those little notes and hide little Easter eggs throughout the story. So that was number one priority for me. And also to keep the level of character engagement around, I think is really important. You know, you want these characters to be endearing, and you want every single time that you draw them, you want them to be appealing. That's one thing that I learned when I was going through my animation processes, was that your character has to be appealing every time you draw it. And I think in illustration, that's extremely important, because you only get so many spreads to feature these characters. So the drawings have to be appealing every time, because unlike a movie, they're not moving around. You only get certain times to feature them. So that was also a priority for me. And it was challenging because the nature of the story, the characters get into another slimy situation, and their space kind of shrinks down because their space is being filled up with their experiment. So it was a challenge to illustrate characters in a space that was getting smaller and smaller. So I really got to work on how to really have my characters engage with the space around them in a unique way, because FRANKENSLIME and VALENSLIME, they both happen technically inside of Victoria's house, but it's an imagined space that kind of leaves the normal realm and goes into this imaginative area. So that was something else that it was really challenging and really fun that I got to experience in FRANKENSLIME, but then got to continue working on in VALENSLIME. So the whole project was, again, another wonderful learning experience for me, and a chance for me to, again, hang out with these super fun characters again.
That sounds so great. And I know what you mean about not wanting to leave your characters, though. That just sounds wonderful. It sounds like you had a lot of fun as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. And do you have a favorite spread in your book?
I do. So like I was saying, our characters get into another slimy situation. One of their experiments doesn't go quite as planned. And this, I think, is my favorite spread, where Victoria and Igor are trying to clean up this mess that they have made, and just is not working out like they had expected. And when I first read the text, this line right here, she tried to catch it, Igor, the vacuum. I thought that would make a hilarious spread. And Joy Kellar is an amazing writer because she leaves so much space for me to be creative. And so when I was reading that, I was like, okay, you know, we have to incorporate a vacuum. So I was trying to figure out how I could work that in with Igor, because he's this little dog and vacuums are, you know, a bit bigger. So I was trying to figure out how that would look. And then I got the idea to make it one of those toy popper vacuum cleaners that kids play with. And I was like, that is the type of vacuum that Igor and Victoria would have around. So it was, again, one of those challenges that you have to work through as an illustrator that leads you into spaces that you never thought possible. And it really helps you grow, because, you know, whenever you get a manuscript and you read these words, you didn't write them. If you're just being the illustrator, you didn't write those words. So you don't have any type of preface for what you're going to read. So you're surprised by every single word. And that was one of my favorite surprises, was to get to have this spread where they're trying to use these household materials to clean up this imagined mess. So it was really fun to blend something real with something not real.
That is so neat to hear, especially, you know, I'm writing picture book manuscripts right now, and to hear the illustrator's perspective on what you see, that is just so fascinating. So thank you for sharing that. It's really cool to hear that.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it's really neat because, like I said, whenever you first get a manuscript, you have no idea what's going to happen. So you're acting as a reader as well.
Right.
You know, when you first get a book, you don't know what's going to happen until you read through the story. So with a manuscript where there aren't any pictures, I get to just have this wonderful experience to imagine this space. And since I had done FRANKENSLIME, I had a bit of an idea of what it would look like, but again, get to just kind of dive off this diving board into something new again. So super fun.
It makes me think about how we always hear that the illustrator is telling 50% of the story, and that is so true. So
Yeah.
You did a great job, and she's a wonderful writer, and you guys make a great team.
Oh,
So,
thank you. She really is.
yeah.
It is so much fun to make these books come to life.
Yes, I hope there's a third. Um, what advice do you have for illustrators?
I think it's really important when you're working as an illustrator to persevere. You know, there's a lot of different types of illustrators out there making wonderful things, and you just have to find the place where you excel the most. And one way to do that is really to draw what you're most passionate about, because if you're passionate about something, you'll want to do a really good job to show that thing, whatever it may be, in the best light possible. So I think it's important to find that niche and just continue to practice. You know, it's kind of cliche, like practice makes perfect, but it's really true. Sometimes we all have those frustrating days where nothing that we're making really hits home, nothing that we're making feels right. Because I think when you're an illustrator and you make a piece, you feel when it's right. And it's like this gut feeling that you get when something's really working, and it's the most amazing feeling. But more often you get those feelings in your gut that are saying, that's not quite right yet. We got to keep trying this. But I think as long as you're willing to just cross something out or erase something and try again, then you'll get there. And I also think it's important to just try everything. Sometimes we tend to edit ourselves in our head before we even put something down on paper. And we're all guilty of doing that at some point or another. But there's nothing wrong with just trying something. You know, it might not work out, but it might lead you to something that you never thought you would get to, a place that you never thought you would draw. And so I think as long as you have an open mind, then you really can just kind of let your creativity drive your career. And that's when you really, find that sweet spot and you get those great gut feelings where you're like, yes, this is where I need to be. And this is working. This feels right. And once you get to that point, you're ready. There's nothing that can stop you at that point. And I've been doing a lot of school visits recently, which has been amazing, to share FRANKENSLIME and to share my other book, The Me Tree. And now I get the opportunity to share VALENSLIME. But every time I do a school visit, and we always do some type of drawing component after we read the story and we learn about the book a little bit, I teach the kids how to draw one of the characters. And before we even start drawing, I tell everyone that sometimes we might make drawings that we don't think are that great or that we're not feeling proud of, but we need to be proud of every single thing that we draw, because no one else could make that drawing except for you. And so I try to explain that to kids, that even if you're making something that you're not super pleased with, you're the only person who could have ever drawn that in the whole world. So you need to be proud of every single mark that you make, because you are the only one who could have made those. So I think that that's something adults need to keep in mind as well, that you need to be proud of what you make, because you're the only maker of that piece. So I think, especially in a business like this where everyone's style is so different, that you really should not try to draw to the trends or draw to what you think is the most successful type of art. You should just draw what you feel is your type of drawing, and then you'll be successful that way.
That is such wise advice. So thank you. And a lot of what you said can be applied to writers of children's literature as well. So very smart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you tell us about any other projects you have on the horizon?
Yes. So my very first author illustrator picture book, Listen Up, Luella, is coming out from Fievel and Friends next June, which I'm super excited about. And Luella is an overly excited elephant who is going to Roar Scout Camp. And she is really excited to be there, but sometimes she lets her excitement kind of go overboard a little bit, and she tends to insert herself into games that are already in progress, or cuts line because she just can't wait to do whatever they're waiting to do. So it's a nice message of the importance of listening, and what can happen if we don't listen. We can miss something really important, which is what happens to Luella. And I just finished final artwork for that, and I'm really excited for it to be out in the world in just a few short months. June will be here before we know it. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And it is adorable. I've seen that one. It is so good. It is just so sweet. I can't wait. So, well, congratulations. You have so much success right now, and it will continue many, many years into the future, I'm sure.
Thank
So
you, Becky. I hope so. I hope so.
And just thank you. We really appreciate you coming today to share with us all about your writing, well, your writing and your illustrating, since you do both. And we thank you so much, Ashley. And I'd also like to say a special thank you to our PAL coordinator, Derek Wilder, who runs our Book Fairies program, and to Mickey Bear, who runs our Book Fairies First Look interview program. And she produces and edits our videos. And then there's also Leanne Carter, our volunteer at large, who handles everything behind the scenes. So I wanted to take a moment and say thank you to all those wonderful people as well. So, and with this, we will say goodbye, and we will see you next month for our next Book Fairies First Look interview.
Thank you so much, Becky. And thank you, Carolinas. I appreciate all the support. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.